start this recording. Okay, thank you, Matthias, for accepting.
Oh,
And
no worries, man. No
how are you
worries. It is
feeling today?
always, yeah, it is always good to talk to someone about, marketing cloud, about technology in general.
Uh,
Feeling good, feeling good. It's been like snowing in Vancouver. One thing I both love and hate is snow. I mean, I love to watch snow, but I hate to, go out or stay indoors. Even staying indoors, it gets pretty cold, even with your,
hmm.
room temperature peaked out to high. It still gets cold.
My bad luck. I'm in Barcelona, so
Hmm.
here it does not snow. If I have to visit the snow, I have to travel to Madrid or I have to
Um,
go to some other places. Yeah. So it's
I
always
always wanted to,
exciting.
s- I always wanted to see snow. Like it's been like what? So I was in
Hmm.
UK for 1 year, and particularly that year, 2012 or 13, I guess, there was no snow. It was like unfortunate for me. I couldn't
Hmm.
get to see snow. I mean, having stayed in south of India, which is like near Kanyakumari,
Uh,
rain is the most we can get, and snow there's no chance. Once in a while we would have this hailstorm that's like once in a decade we would have a hailstorm, but
hmm.
snow is not a thing. And I
Hmm.
really missed watching snow in UK. And even we traveled up north to Scotland. We couldn't see snow. I mean, I saw snow like at the top of a mountain which I have to trek and go, which I thought, okay, that's not
Hmm.
really worth it. And the first time I saw snow in my life was like last year, 2021.
Oh.
That was exciting, and I was in lockdown because I just traveled
Hmm.
to Vancouver. So right after you travel, you have these 2 weeks of uh, you know home quarantine. So
Hmm.
I was locked in my room. I had access only to a balcony, and there was the snow, and I was just sitting in balcony with a cup of coffee, watching snow like almost every day in February of 2021. That was interesting. Have you seen snow?
Yeah, I come from Darjeeling, so yeah,
Oh,
it occasionally not in that is very less compared to UK or some other places like Canada, the places. But yeah, it sometimes snows, and it doesn't happen in my town, which is Mirik.
mhm.
Okay, is a it doesn't happen. You have to travel around 30 kilometers or 15 kilometers, and everybody will, the whole bunch of friends and everyone will take their car, take their bike, and go and start clicking pictures. That goes little crazy. So yeah,
So you're
oh,
from Merrick.
here in Barcelona we have some. There is some agency which conducts some kind of a tour kind of a thing. Okay,
Mhm.
and yeah, we sometimes plan with this tour and go and see the snow. So
Nice.
yeah. Okay, so let's start this with your introduction. Not interview kind of introduction, but it will be like how you came to marketing cloud. How was your journey? When you how you started with marketing cloud?
Yeah, sure, man. I mean, I read this somewhere. This is kind of stuck to me. They say that you don't choose email; email chooses you. So I came into marketing cloud in a similar fashion. Uh, I did not
Mhm.
choose this technology of Salesforce or marketing cloud. Um, Basically, one of my managers had a project which had an issue. She had a marketing cloud project where there were lots of API issues. So I
Mm.
got reeled in to debug and assist on few tasks, and I started working on it for a couple of weeks, and then the team liked me, so they basically suggested that, hey, why don't we, internally, it was like all within the same company, so they suggested like, why don't we internally hire this guy, into our team. He seems to understand
Mm.
the technology as well as the business as well. Now the thing is, I
Mm.
worked um, as a communication specialist. I mean, I wouldn't even call myself a specialist because I worked in a technology called HP Extreme. which is for
Mhm.
printing letters and any letters that you see from banks like statements or
Mhm.
offer
Mhm.
letters.
Mhm.
So I worked
Yeah.
in this particular technology for about 1 year, where I got to
Mhm.
understand about what customer communication is. So the our team's name was like customer communications team. So
Mhm.
right after working in that, I moved to a different company. I worked in this technology called HP Extreme for 1 year in 2015, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and then I moved
Mhm.
to Wipro for a couple of years. I worked in IBM BPM as a developer, and then I came back to the previous company in Pune, where I
Mhm.
got to work as an API developer for like 1 year. Uh, Now, while I was working as API developer, I got reeled into this Salesforce Marketing Cloud team. And since I knew about how letter communication works, how this
Mhm.
customer communications within this particular bank works, I was able to easily correlate between this email communication versus the API technology, and we were like
Mhm.
quite rapid in building APIs and then sending out emails through APIs.
Mhm.
So the team liked me, and they were like, "Oh, let's get him into this." And then I started working with the team. I started, learning
Uh,
about marketing cloud. My first certification was like, I think it was marketing cloud admin. That was my my first certification, and
Admin or
I did.
specialist? Email specialist.
I think I did admin first,
Oh.
and then I did email specialist. Because like I remember while I was doing email specialist, someone was saying that, hey, you don't have to necessarily do this admin certification because it's not a
Hmm.
prerequisite to any other certification. I was like, yeah, that's okay.
Oh.
I just started with the
First, yeah.
technology. Yeah.
When I joined, yeah, that time admin certification was not there, and
Mhm.
we had consultant. After consultant, the admin came into the picture. So every
And
time we had was the developer also came later. This
mm.
developer certificate also. Initially it
So
was email
when did you
specialist.
start?
Uh-huh.
When did you start?
It's 6 years back. So
Okay.
2016, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you first do the email specialist, okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
we already did consultant, and then this
Mm-hmm.
developer and admin came back. I think admin very late, and maybe consultant. I have confused with developer and consultant. Which
Mm-hmm.
one? I have to see the dates there when it is started.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So interesting. Like I find it very
I know
interesting
usually
that
people start with email specialist, but then I didn't have much of a what do I say? I didn't have much of
now,
a
yeah,
clue of what is the path
now
I
the
have
path
to
has
take.
been changed.
Yeah.
Now the path has been changed. Like now they have both combined Pardot and Marketing Cloud to become a
Mm-hmm.
CTA. And
Mm-hmm.
first is the admin. Now it's not the email
Mm-hmm.
specialist. Now they have said first you have to do the Marketing Cloud admin, okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
you do the specialist from both Pardot and email specialist, and then you have this consultant and developer. And to become the CTA, you need to have Pardot consultant certificate also now.
Mm.
Okay,
Nice.
so the path has been changed current recently. But what I find interesting about you was you started marketing cloud directly with API, and
Yeah.
for me it took almost I think 3 years or so, more than 3 years, to go to the path of API in marketing cloud because I started my first I remember is a guided sale. Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
from the sales cloud team they used to give us the report.
Mm-hmm.
We used to import the report, okay, and then from that report it used to create a data extension, and then uh, we used to send a guided send, and after 2 weeks they would give us 2 weeks, and we go to the the tracking one, download the PDF and email them. Very boring stuff. So
I would 100% vouch to that. So the company that I worked with was basically a bank, and of course, the as a bank, you're not supposed to make any mistakes,
Mhm.
especially in customer
Mhm.
communication. And we were absolutely sure there were multiple layers of quality assurance. I mean, as an email developer,
Yeah.
you don't really build the email HTML. So there's an
Mm,
agency that builds the HTML, but then you
exactly.
be you'd be testing this. I mean, agency would do a test on your email HTML, and then internally our team, sorry, there's an echo. So internally our team
Okay.
has an 100-point checklist which we would run through for every email and for
Mm,
every automation. So we should basically say that, hey, does your email has open counter, does your email has tracking regions, do you have all the HTML tags opens and closed, have you run through the
mm,
litmus report, have you checked this Outlook issues. We would do this everything for email automation guided send. In fact, the first 3 or 4 months, all I did was guided sends and user initiated sends. And then I got
mm,
really bored because it was basically a standard operating procedure. I mean,
mm.
but again, that helped me uh, 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 understand why email has to be built in a way that it is built,
Ah,
now. And
yeah.
it gives a sense of responsibility, I would say. You have to be very sure about, you have to check it like 10 different times or 100 times to make sure that you're not sending anything wrong to the customer. So quality assurance
Correct.
is very important. I mean, I basically started as a manual
Ah,
tester and then moved into development and then learned few other technologies. So I know how a tester, a quality assurance analyst thinks. And I often
mm,
think, I often put myself into this shoes saying that, hey, if I'm a QA for this particular tool or the code that I'm writing, what are the things that I would test? Then I
mm,
would start fixing those items. So again, that's how I started with API, and then I started asking questions about, okay, how does this email work? How, why do you have this litmus? And then I
mm.
started questioning things like, why is Mobile Connect so complicated? Uh, I mean, which I haven't found an answer yet. I would say
Mhm.
Mobile Connect is a bit complicated. Forget about Mobile Connect. Mobile push is even more complicated, and then comes other things like WhatsApp and line messages. I mean, if
Mm.
you understand API, this is what I have found. Since I knew about API, I was able to easily navigate into different areas of things
Exactly.
much
Mm,
easily. And then I started learning about AMP script, which look, I don't know, yearly similar to Visual Basic and stuff. And then SSJS was very similar to JavaScript, but with lots of
mm.
limitations. And because this is ECMA 3, and then the JavaScript normally we write is ECMA 6. We don't have to worry
I
about
can, yeah,
writing a
I can
processor,
relate because, yeah,
sorting. Yeah.
I can relate. Yesterday, when we had this saying discussion, right? When we'll schedule this meeting, and I said,
Mhm.
you are literally famous for MJML,
Oh, is
right?
it?
And a lot of people come to me, right, with this MGML stuff, and I say, go and talk to Matthews. Why me? I don't know anything about MGML. Okay, and uh, then I was thinking like how Matthews came to know about this MGML. We normally use HTML because see, if somebody, yeah, I see there is a very good way of designing emails with MGML, and but
But
if I don't know the tags, right,
mm,
I'll land into a lot of issues saying that how should Yeah, I'm very bad in CSS, very very bad, and mm, if I use MGML some wrong tag, right, and if I have to update, my head will go crazy. So I was thinking like how Matthews came to now I can relate when you're saying all this, right? Where for this banking, how you used to do a lot of testing. So I can understand your background very clearly. Hmm.
yeah, so on this point, right, I'm bad in CSS as well. If you ask me to if you ask me to fix a SSJ script versus something in UI, I would always go for SSJ. I'm basically
Hmm.
not really
Hmm.
fond of UI, or building a good UX, which I know it's approach. Over the years, what I've learned is, if you cannot, or if you do not know how to create a beautiful UI, then your product may not be of a great success, because whatever logic
Ah,
or product that you build, being a backend developer, it can be the most optimized and performance enhanced product you can have. But
Mm.
then if your UI is not good, so the first impression is the best impression, I
Ah,
would say. Like if somebody looks at your application and if they don't really like your UI, then uh, all the performance optimization that you have done in your product is not going to be used by anyone. So
yes.
uh, I didn't realize that up until like probably last year or this year after I joined CloudKettle. So my manager is Sabi. So Sab, so he is a huge advocate of MGML. So he basically,
Mm.
I, I started building emails. One of my first assignment in CloudKettle was building a preference center. So I started building it with Bootstrap, and then uh, our director of engineering, so
Mm.
he's Greg Bates. So he's a huge advocate of Vue.js.
Mm.
He likes Vue.js much better than React. So he
Uh,
introduced me to this concept of Vue.js and Beautify, Vue components, and he gave me a quick 30-minute intro to this. And it was like I was able to build this whole preference center with
mm.
Vue.js in a slick UI. I love that. And then the same way I was building email, and Sab introduced me to MJML, saying that hey, this is how we can build. And I had
Mm.
another half an hour crash course. This is what I have found, right? You have to you have to be very picky about who you work with. So after like probably a decade of working in software industry, this is what I've learned. Uh, I'm
Mm.
not I'm not very particular about the
I
company that I work with or the salary that I get, but the team, that's like a high priority for me. Am I going to contribute something to the team, and can I learn something from them? Would I fit with the team? that's
mm.
that's one of the main item that I look for. So things like working with SAP, I mean, the thing that I bring to table is I know a thing or two about JavaScript or APIs. So that's where I help people around in my
Ah,
team. And anything with UI, that is where I ask for help.
I can relate few things, but yeah, little bit of there is a differ you. I'll differ with you because I have been a very good being an advocate of not I'm not because I'm not a good in UI, right? So
Mhm,
I always have my preference towards how to write a code in such a way where you have this optimal conditions uh, with all these parsings and everything. And I come from a .NET background, right? And all these design patterns and everything is already fed up in my brain. So removing that is a little difficult. So I
mhm,
remember when I was doing this MBC, okay, and in MBC when we were doing this, uh, I was we were doing a what is it, C sharp language. Okay,
mhm,
we used to write in the C sharp language, and my manager one day, it's not a manager actually. One of my senior, we had some discussion like whose
mhm,
code is better, some kind of a discussion, right? And he was like, how you are just 3 years of experience and how you can say that you are expertise. And then we had some discussion there, okay. And he definitely is 7 8 years experience, I was only 3 years of experience. So
mhm,
our manager came, uh, and he was like, uh, he said to me, Sasi, no matter what you write inside the code in the background, okay,
mhm.
the selling proposition is the UI, the presentation, how you are doing. Okay.
Yeah.
And he said and gave an example of a mobile phone, saying that if the
Mhm.
mobile phone doesn't look good, okay, who is going into the nitty gritty of all these configurations of the phone? Okay.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that time, I remember we had this Nokia Luminous was the
Mhm,
brand.
mhm.
Okay. Nokia Lumia or something was their brand. And at the same
Nokia
time, Xiaomi,
Lumia. Yeah.
yeah, Xiaomi
Mhm.
Mi has launched. Okay.
Yeah.
So I asked him which phone you are using. He said
Mhm,
Nokia Lumia. So I said, why Nokia Lumia? Not why not MI Xiaomi? It
mhm,
looks so the design is good and everything. And he said because of security. Lumia has a better security than Xiaomi because it's made in China.
mhm.
Okay, so I contradict him that way, saying that it's not always the look and feel. You also have to go
So
deep
now there are two
inside.
aspects, right? Look
Mhm.
is basically like a hook. Okay, you need to have a good look to get them started with, and then you need to have a good performance to get them continue use your application. So the
Mm.
reason why Nokia Lumia failed, one of the reason is, of course,
Yeah.
while the other products succeeded, is their performance was much better. I mean, performance, and then there's a money
Is
factor
is
as well.
about is more about improvement, day to day improvement,
Day to day they would
right?
improve. So that is
Is not
the
about yeah.
longevity. So if you
Yeah.
want customers to, just look at your product, have a beautiful UI, but then if you want them to come back to your product multiple times and then continue to use it and not look for alternates, that is where you would work on this performance and enhancements, and their use, basically the experience of overall product. So you
But
need
yeah,
both.
but you look, this watch is from MI
Mhm,
now. Okay, I have a phone with MI. Though
mhm.
I was advocating Lumia, but see what I'm wearing. Okay, so
I remember
so
one of my friend is a huge advocate of Nokia Lumia, or
mm,
basically any Nokia plus Windows phones, and he is basically I think this was in early 2016 or 2017, I guess. Oh no, way before that, 2013 or 2014. When the phone got launched, he started building products for the phone. He had a huge bet on the
mm,
phone. But one of the reasons, what he says is, for Windows, because like Nokia then was later bought by Windows. For Windows, this phone section is one of their product. It's not the only product that they concentrate on. Whereas you take MI or any other products,
mm,
initially when they started getting into the market, phone was their main focus. That was their
phone. Yeah,
primary product. But for
true.
Windows, it's not their primary. Even the
Phone.
mobile OS that they released, mobile OS was not their primary product. I mean,
Mm.
sorry,
Yeah, yeah. True, true.
we digress a little bit.
True.
Here.
We have seen the whole history of Nokia. So
Hmm. Anyways,
we see a lot of videos on Nokia, how the CEO, when
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, wait, coming
it's
back to our
sad.
topic,
Yeah,
right? The
it's sad.
Salesforce thing. Yeah, in marketing cloud, the okay. If anybody has any questions about MGML, uh, I'll ask. I mean, if you can ask them to reach out to me, or you can ask them to
Mm,
reach out to CloudKettle, we'll be able to help them with MGML. So
uh,
MGML, I know it looks complicated, but then it is
mm.
much more easier than HTML.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Like those people who come from an HTML background, right? Who are very good in CSS and HTML, they will definitely opt MGML, because
yeah.
I fell in love with MGML, but I have, why I don't move towards MGML is because I'm not very good in HTML and CSS. So
Mm,
I'll basically go with the basics. Okay, if I just if I just add few CSS in line, okay,
right. Mhm.
I will be in a trouble to fix it out.
Yeah.
How much padding should I add? It will
Yeah.
go crazy in my
That's
mind.
a
So
yeah.
uh, I will just stick to the basics so I understand it. Hmm.
So any
Now,
programming language that you would want to learn
hmm,
the basics, and then start using a framework. Same way, HTML.
hmm,
Yes, if you want to learn, if you want to use MGML, it is an absolute must that you need to know how HTML and CSS
yeah,
works, because
hmm,
MGML is literally a framework that is built
hmm.
for HTML. So
True,
yeah.
true. Yeah. So when you are saying, when you are discussing this framework, right? So uh, I have worked in AngularJS, right? So
Mhm.
this parenthesis you see like in AmpScript, okay, like
Yeah.
percentage is similar to the parenthesis that we use in AngularJS. Okay,
Mhm.
so uh, I was used to it with the scripting language, okay,
Mhm.
because I come from those. But HTML anyway, because HTML
Mhm.
has also evolved, right? Now HTML5, so
Five,
many
yeah.
new attributes that have been added to the HTML. Now with AngularJS, we were able to customize the HTML attributes. That was the
Mhm.
main correlation of data modeling with AngularJS. Okay, so
Mhm.
the same here is AmpScript. That's why my affinity towards AmpScript when I started was more, because I come from my AngularJS background. Okay,
Mhm.
but HTML weak, still a weak person. And with the checkbox, you see,
Mhm.
I was reading this checkbox, and always when we do this input tag, right, in
Mhm.
HTML, so every time we have ID, name, and value. So
Right.
anything it has ID, name, and value. In the checkbox, I am adding value as true, okay, or personalization or
Okay.
anything, but
Mhm.
it does not reflect. Okay, it took me a lot of time to understand that the attribute is checked. The attribute is not
Mm.
value to make it check. So
Value is equal to true. Yeah.
it yeah. So the framework which you are I was coming to that part of the framework, right? So yeah, there is always I find it very fascinating with HTML nowadays,
Yeah.
and because now even into email, because we used to have a litmus, and just we used to take to the litmus and check all the emails, different emails in different servers if it is okay, because we are not building
Mhm.
it. Some agency was building it, giving to us. We are building an email, testing it, and just sending it. So we didn't do much work with. Yeah. Now coming to you, hmm, uh, what do you think? Like, I feel a lot of people, okay,
Mhm.
are very new in marketing cloud. Majority of them. Hmm. But let's say if I take also 30, 70, 30%, if I consider this way, which is even I say 30% is a very big chunk, okay, but just to be in optimal condition, I
Mhm.
don't want to be criticized for this, but let's say 30% of people are good in marketing cloud out of the
Okay.
100.
Mhm.
But all these 30% people are not willing, uh, not willing, I'll not say, but they are not maybe open to social media like LinkedIn or some other places, right? And a lot of people don't respond or say, not share. Hmm.
Mhm.
So what would be the
Mm.
reason that they are still holding back with their thoughts and all? Because I see I have lot of friends, okay, lot of friends who have worked in very different, like they have worked in interaction studio, they have worked in CDP, okay, they have worked in lot of different uh what do you say, use cases. Hmm.
Got it.
Especially when I
Yeah.
say use cases is a better word, right? So where they have automation run by API and all this, but
Mm.
they have a very good knowledge, but I see not them setting too much into the post. I know it's a very hard work, but
Uh, okay. So the reason why I did not do, um, I did not share much on LinkedIn up until what, maybe 2019 or 2020, was
mm,
I didn't realize the potential of LinkedIn, or probably I didn't realize the
mm,
potential of networking.
mm,
We have heard people say that, hey, networking is pretty important. It is very important for your career growth. These are the things that we have heard people say it. But then when it hit me was the first time I got an interview call from a company based out of Vancouver. I was working from India, and then I applied. This was during COVID. I applied through LinkedIn, and then I got a call. So one of the primary reason, uh, which I later realized, I mean, it is not that the company told me about this. It is something that I realized that uh, during COVID, I had some free time, so I started writing about the Marketing Cloud APIs. I mean, what I literally did was I wrote them in a Google Doc, and then I
mm,
shared the Google Doc link in my LinkedIn post, saying that,
mm,
hey, if you want to use event notifications, event notification services in Marketing Cloud, then follow these steps. I've tried this out, and this works, and this is how you do it. So this is something that I wrote, and then using Cloud Pages as API. Since I loved API, I started writing. I literally wrote about only 3 or 4 items, and apparently what happened is, out of the hundreds of resume that a company receives, they would select some, and then they would go through
mm,
they would have, at some point they would go through your LinkedIn, and your
mm.
LinkedIn basically says more than your resume. I honestly
Exactly.
believe that your
Yeah,
resume,
true.
so I can write anything about my resume. I can make things up.
Mm.
But then LinkedIn,
Obviously.
it's your day-to-day progress of what you have done and how you have improved yourself. You can literally plot a graph of someone's professional growth
Ah,
based on their LinkedIn post. I mean, as long as they maintain their LinkedIn properly. So
true.
that 2020, that was when I started sharing things on LinkedIn. And the main reason why I did not share is, I was afraid. I mean, I typically think that people are really
Hmm.
afraid of criticism. Like, what if I share something? I mean,
Exactly.
this typically happens in social media, right? If you
Ah,
share something absolutely correct, you share like 100 news which are absolutely correct, people
hmm.
you'd probably get low engagement, and then you share one wrong thing, and then you would have 100 people jumping over you in comments and then
Yeah, exactly.
messages.
Exactly.
So people
This,
of this kind of
I'm cutting
criticism.
you there. What I was
Mm,
saying,
no,
yeah, I cutting you there. I understand. I understand what you're saying because it is hitting here, you know? Like, uh,
you have that experience.
I'm not, see, if you go and see my sessions, okay, and
Mhm,
if I just give you the unedited video, okay, where
mhm,
we do a lot of editing, even I say a lot of times, I when I record, I say 100 times okay. Hmm.
mhm,
And so many things I speak there, and I know if I just without editing, if I upload it, you know, people will go crazy. People will go crazy. It's not like we are the champions. I'm not saying I'm a champion, right? It's about I'm just helping out because I know from which videos I came in. If I had a lot of bunch of questions inside my head, I used to go out and smoke and drink tea, right? And at that time I was saying, ये क्यों नहीं हो रहा है यार? इतना simple सा चीज
yeah,
है, you know?
yeah,
And we didn't have an answer.
mhm,
Hmm. The only solution was to raise a ticket. Okay. And then till that resolution come from the Salesforce, till
mhm,
I'll be cracking my head. Why? क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? You know? So if I have an answer now, when I'm here, okay, and I see like, okay, I know from what path I have come here, right?
mhm,
How difficulties I have faced answering. This is a very simple thing, right?
yeah,
It's not a like we are doing some rocket science. It's a very simple thing. This is just about knowing the way, right? So which syntax to use, where to use, all these things you have to be familiar with. So it's not like I'm creating uh, such an algorithm, okay, where uh, it's like people say, oh, I don't understand this algorithm, or a simple function, right? So
see, simple concepts is where most people would need help, because if somebody is able to, if somebody has a question on a pretty complicated concept, it means that they have understood all the simple concepts very well, and
Mm,
they are being an advanced user. At that level, they wouldn't looking for Stack Overflow. They would look for a people to mentor. They would look for someone at their caliber. They would look for a mentorship program rather than like
mm.
looking into Stack Overflow or uh,
Yeah.
so. I like your concept of, let me explain the simple things, or let me explain the problems that I have,
Mm,
which is absolutely good. And I would like to discuss on this topic, which you said. Editing videos is really difficult, which
mm.
last year I created one simple video for Interaction Studio, like getting started thing. It is basically a 30-minute or probably 25-minute video. It took me 2-3 hours to edit it, probably 2-3 days to record
My
it.
goodness.
Now this is where I would like to bring myself into a kind of a I want my mind to understand this. Not everything that I share in social media, be it LinkedIn or Facebook, has to be like super edited or super perfect. Post. It doesn't have to be a perfect post, because in the process of making this perfect, we are doing two things. One is we are wasting time, and then we are setting up a target for others that, hey, next time
Exactly.
you post something in LinkedIn,
Exactly.
it has to be this perfect. No, it doesn't have
Uh,
to be. Uh, don't scare people away, because like what happens is people would refrain themselves from sharing any knowledge in any
uh,
portal when you say that, hey, if you, because like it's good to build a framework on how to share knowledge, but then if the framework becomes a stopping point for people from sharing knowledge, that's not right. Yeah, have
Yeah,
have a
exactly.
process that, like, okay, if you want to write a post in LinkedIn, then probably say that what is your problem statement, and then
Hmm.
you know, how did you solve it, what are the things that you have tried, and what is the actual resolution or optimal solution that worked out. This is a good framework. But then if you're going to say that, yeah, you need to have a PPT with beautiful flying colors, or a video that
See,
runs
I,
for like
I'm
two
I'm a
minutes
I'm from very far right. I'm not a
Mm,
leftist. I'm a very far right? And the right is people which at the right end of the corner, they are very practical. Okay, because the diplomatic are the leftists, who are
I
the
mean, I
left
wouldn't say
extreme.
it's I
See,
wouldn't say like
uh,
be left or right, be correct, that's it.
no,
Do
for me,
what
no. I'm
makes you
open.
feel
I'm
that it
saying
is
I'm a
correct.
rightist. Okay,
Mm,
I'm a far right corner, and I always say, though I try to be perfectionist. Okay, but if you come to my session, you will see what nonsense I going to speak there. Okay, the only reason is I'm able to connect with my people, like those who are there, right? It's only about connection. Like what I see is I can learn from a dog, right? I can learn from a refrigerator. I can learn from a free, right? AC, TV, and anything. If you want to learn,
mm.
hmm, it doesn't have to be some so-called gurus, right? That you have to be mentored by.
But
Okay,
yeah,
it has to be like if you want to learn, you can learn like you are walking on a road, and you can see old people going, catching you're holding their hands, and you learn everything from everywhere, right?
right.
So I come from that mentality, saying that I'll not be perfect, okay? I'm not be, but whatever is inside my mind, I'm going to speak out. I will
Yeah,
not hesitate. Okay, and if those people you said no, they're always jumping to see you have made some mistake, and now I am going to write a comment,
correct
and I
you.
want to
Yeah. Hmm.
demoralize you, and I'm from the right, so I'll say, come on, let's have a challenge. Be whoever you are, okay? And I'll say, you know, come, go. No, I know I made a wrong. I made some wrong answer, okay? Or I said something which is wrong. I agree, okay? But I'm going to defend it for that. Why? I want to show him his place, saying that if I have to,
Yeah.
if you have done something, then I can also show some mistakes, right? You can
See, it
communicate
is.
in a very good way.
Yeah. And so I think we have to change this particular mentality.
Hmm.
Let's take a step back here, right? I stand to this point where sharing knowledge in LinkedIn or sharing something in social media, I'm saying like it doesn't have to be perfect. Uh,
Hmm.
it has to be like unfiltered. Don't filter items. Don't make it look beautiful.
Exactly.
Any of the technical videos that you take, especially coding videos that you take in YouTube or any courses, none of these experts are going to show you how they have arrived at this particular solution. They would basically say that this is a
Exactly.
problem statement and this is the solution, and they would write 10 lines of code and they would start a server and do some beautiful things. But then
Hmm.
it would have taken them hours and hours of time, multiple failures, trying out different things to come to an understanding that this is what they have to do. People don't
Yeah.
share that. People don't share that because, like, when
Have
you
you
write,
gone through this phase? Have you gone through this phase like you develop some code, okay, to use case, let's say SQL query, okay, and you have to generate some IDs based on some random IDs, okay.
Mhm,
Now you have concat, add, and a lot of things there, aggregate functions, okay, and you did something, and you said, okay, it's going fine, it's working fine, and you go to bed, and suddenly you're about to sleep, and it strikes, oh no, no, I should not concat, the length is small, okay, I
mhm.
should have done some, I should have done the addition there, no summation, right? So uh, we go through all these phases, like we come to that particular optimal solution after a lot of trial and errors, right?
I
So
mean, not just trial and errors.
pointing some.
It is a whole thought process. Now, most of the there are a few people who reach out to, I know people reach out to you, and to me also, asking questions like, let's take the simple use case, right? People would come and ask you like, hey, how do we generate a random ID in SQL? Now, how did I learn about it? I didn't have a senior to go and ask for this question straight. I would
Mm.
always go to Google and Stack
Google Baba.
Overflow. The reason why I like Stack Overflow is kind of unfiltered. Okay, it's like,
Hmm.
I would say semi unfiltered. People basically share their thoughts in Stack Overflow. You can literally see how people have come to this particular conclusion in
Hmm.
like, lines and lines of chats. They would have like, hey, what if I try this? What if I do in this way? And then other person
Hmm.
would share their thought, that's not the optimal way. Yeah, that works, but then this is a better one. And then
Hmm.
people would refer to documentations, like things like Stack Overflow has succeeded for this, because this is one of the reasons why they have succeeded. It
Yeah.
doesn't give you a perfect solution, because if you really want to give a perfect solution, then it is the number of questions that are going to be answered is going to be very
Exactly.
limited.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Stack
You.
Overflow has
I can
this like
relate.
unfiltered
Hmm.
thing. Yeah. Now, uh, yeah, what was I saying? Sorry, what were we talking about? Lost
No,
my
we
thought.
were talking about like why people
Yeah.
are
So
not
this
coming
one
to the
question.
platform and sharing their uh,
Yeah.
uh,
So
learning.
when we make videos or when we teach someone, one of the important thing that we have to teach is how you can find a solution to a problem statement that you have. If somebody
Hmm.
has a problem statement that says, "Hey, I want to create a random uh, ID or random set of strings in a column," then there are multiple ways of doing it. You can use math.rand function, and you can use GUID functions, or you can basically write your own bunch of algorithm that would create some random numbers or random characters. Now, how do we typically know it? We would have, I mean, we would have gone through the same problem statement. We would have gone through Stack Overflow, or we would have gone through different documentations. We would have spent hours and hours of thinking about, how do I solve this? How do I effectively solve this? I mean, of course, this is where learning basics of programming is very important.
Yeah.
If you get your hands on, learn about. There are a couple of books. I mean, during engineering we studied this. There is one book on data structure, and there's
Hmm.
one other book on operating systems. I loved both these.
Operating. Yeah.
Forget about
And
the
this
subject. I love these two
DBMS,
books.
DBMS, data management system,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
How many now? I'm just feel like how many people have actually learned about, okay,
Hmm.
atomicity, okay, about first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, BCNF. That was our basic structure of learning about database system, right? And
Yeah. Hmm.
locking and mechanisms, and all these things were happening when you're doing database. Yeah, I if I ask randomly, I don't know how many people will talk about this. How many normal forms we have? Okay, and if I ask them what is BCNF,
Those are I would say like uh, people. I mean, I'm from a 2006 to 2010 engineering background guy. Like, so we used to
Hmm.
study all those things. We
Yeah.
used to go through all those concepts without even really realizing the problem statement which it helps to solve, or the pain point that it helps to solve. Because like, I remember when I was studying all these items, you know for example, in data structures there were things like AVL trees, and I was like, hey, you're literally going to okay, you want to find something in a bunch of in an array, then you can use a find function or a sort function. Why do you have to do this fancy things like binary search and AVL, build
Hmm.
this in AVL tree? The reason why I had this question is I didn't really know the the physical world problem that it solves. you know the scale
Yeah.
people build softwares at, where optimization or optimized system is pretty important. But then, of course, basics is basics. To anyone who
Yeah.
asks in
Actually,
engineering that
yeah.
why
Stack
am I
Overflow.
going through calculus? No, no. Anyone who is asking a question, any student who's asking a question about why do I have to learn about calculus? Why do I have to learn about
Hmm.
how an operating system works, how a kernel works, or what is the purpose of a binary tree? I would say like, you know You may not understand it now, but then learn it. These are the principles, these are the
No.
basics. Learn it.
Oh,
10 years down the line, you would really see
I think,
its
yeah, I think we
value
are
and
coming
worth.
from the same background. Okay, we are coming from the same background. So every topic we can go into a lot of lengths. What happens is, you're saying just now is, I remember I was transiting from macro programming, okay, to
Mm,
ASP.NET developer. And then after ASP.NET developer, ASP also, you had all this in a different cycles. Okay, .NET framework and a lot of things that they started adding MVC plus, what not. And when we were doing MVC and all this, right? A very senior guy in my one of the
mm,
project, he came and we were having a discussion. I said, no, this is not this way. This is how this has to be done. This is the framework, and this is how we need to do. Okay, and
mm,
he's very new to the framework. Hmm. And during that time, with this conversation, what I understand is, if you know the basic, okay,
mm.
if you know the foundational framework of programming, you
Yep.
can go anywhere, okay, and design anything. And then I understand why basic foundation is very important, right? If I talk about people talking about binary numbers, uh, they're in programming, and we sometimes seldom forget. Like, even we have learned, we forget, because what happens is, if let's come back to, because we are very going to different programming, not marketing cloud. So mm, what happens is, there is an Adobe system, okay, where it has
Mm,
a proper relational database system.
mhm.
Okay? You have primary, foreign key, proper relationship. Now in marketing cloud, you have attribute group where you call a relationship, which is of no use. Okay, how you're going to do the primary key and foreign key relationship there? Okay, maybe a lot of people don't even understand what is the relationship between primary and foreign key relationship that they have. Right now, if you're migrating from Adobe to marketing cloud, okay, and you'll be lost with the data structure. And you
Yep.
know then again, oh my goodness, see, I come from a .NET background. Okay, we
Mhm.
used to maintain all these design patterns and data modeling. Now I'm not able to reload what is broad log and what is tracking log. We have send log. Okay, and they have
Right.
broad log and tracking log. And I was asking to my friend, what the heck this tracking log is? Hmm. And I was like, why? Can't we remove the tracking log and put everything into the broad log? Okay. so
Yeah. I
so
mean,
that's where because we come from this experience where we are having an issue where there was no
mm,
one to mentor us, like explaining how to do it and what to do it. And we used to go to Stack Overflow, जहाँ पे tick, green tick, copy
yep.
it, paste it. Is this working?
See, it's like I like the concept of failing often. I mean, in any problem statement I get, right, I would try to fail faster. Like I would
Hmm.
go through different scenarios, like, oh, can I implement it like this? Can I implement it in approach number two? And then I would have like I'd have like two, three different approaches of implementing something, and then I would be like, out of these three, this looks much better. Then I would pick that out, and then I would say like, yeah, let's use this. So people shouldn't be afraid of failing often, and trying out different codes, because you go to gym to work out your muscles the same way you have to pick up different weights, different problems, and different ways of solving a problem to kind of, I
You
mean,
go
at least to
through,
keep you active.
you have to basically bang your head. Actually, I feel like you bang your head, right, with that
At
function.
best, I'm not saying that I'm a good programmer or anything. At best, I'm a mediocre or like a below average kind of a programmer. But what I'm good at is I try. I don't try once, I don't try twice, I try 100 times. If I
You
have a
trying to,
problem, I
yeah,
try
you're trying to
100 times to solve it.
downplay.
No, no, no,
That
no.
downplaying thing doesn't actually comes to my pocket. Okay, I know when people say I'm a mediocre, don't guy see,
See,
don't make me laugh.
I
Okay.
my wife is actually a very good programmer. She is absolutely fantastic in solving any given problem. But something that she doesn't do is she doesn't like learn something new if she doesn't want it. She's like,
No, see,
Okay,
this is
come to that
the
problem statement. I go on you.
society. This also society. This programming is also society. Like when we go to a society, okay, we are bound by the society rules. Okay,
Mhm.
and if you try to express ourselves more, people will say you're being naughty or you're being, okay. So same happens with the IT world. Hmm. What happens
Yeah.
was I remember, see, everything I can give you a rebut for this because I have seen all this. What happened was I was working for one project, okay,
Mhm.
and I was doing exception handling.
Okay.
Hmm. So in the exception handling, uh, obviously, people always focus on the positive part while
Mhm.
testing, right? And you're not following the negative part. What if something wrong happens and how you're going to handle exception? So I created this exception handling and I want to test that handling. If something
Mhm.
happens, how this exception is handled. So I have to insert a bad record. Okay. And
Mhm.
after that, I was able to handle it and record it. And I was so, I was so happy. Yes, I did it. And in the status call, I said, I broke the code and I was able to handle it in the exception. And the manager was like, why you need to do this? Why you're trying to break the code? so so uh, you know that's why what I feel is the youngsters who come into the IT, right? So they never think about the boundary conditions, right? The negative part. They are only about focusing on the
Not
positive part.
many, not many people knows about this boundary value analysis or boundary value testing. You need to really like, yeah, that's the exact term we use, right? Boundary value testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice,
Obviously,
nice.
see, I have those testers who used to say monkey testing. Okay, monkey testing was like in the text box, hmm, you have a character limit of 10, and then once that character limit is breached, you are not going to enter on any other text. Okay, and they were trying to tung, 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 and they said, "What you are doing? You're monkey testing."
Mhm.
So and we had that function like once the 10 characters reached, you
Mhm.
have to tap to the another text like they're doing
Mhm.
it. Okay, they don't have to use the mouse. Then the monkey testing came into picture. I didn't never realized that kind of testing is also done.
Nice.
Oh, and see the same thing. Like I know if people will see this video, they will say they are not talking marketing cloud. They are talking something else. They are talking like how why Elon Musk is building uh,
It's see, it's this
planes
is a
and why
random
he's
conversation.
suddenly
It's not a
from
conversation about marketing.
missiles.
But yeah, something random.
Suddenly from missiles, they are talking to Twitter. So coming back with the same thought processes, like
Mhm.
say today I was giving a session with
Mhm.
content block by key ID. Okay, now
Okay.
a lot of people don't realize that we have three, four, five ordinals. Okay, like we have this impression tagging there where we can do the
Mhm.
impression tagging. Okay, we can
Okay.
have that true or false to return an error or not. Hmm.
Mhm.
And we have that if it returns an error, you can have a default content. Okay, and
Loaded out.
you
Yeah.
if it had written an error, you can capture as a result set also. Hmm.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, not to others. I was thinking till today, till today. Okay, I'd
Mhm.
never use all these ordinals.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Any example
So
that you see uses only one ordinal that says like content block by key, then give the key, and then you're done.
yeah,
That's the simplest. Yeah.
so if people has this proper documentation, if they go through this documentation, right, a newbie going through a
Mhm.
documentation and trying to implement, they will always want to see an example, right? That's
Yeah.
why amscript guide is famous for, because they
Yeah.
always have an example at
Have
the bottom,
multiple examples.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So people will copy paste and manipulate those code. So now it stick to people's mind that okay, this is going to work. And one thing very common, even I do, when you do a lookup rows, okay, set
Mhm.
rows equal to lookup rows. Always that
That
AMP script,
rows variable is
everybody people do at the root rows.
at rows is a standard variable, and then you get the first row with at row.
Yeah.
That's like a standard variable in anybody's code. I love that.
Hmm. So I'm just trying to understand was if somebody is doing offset,
Mhm.
hmm, And when you're doing offset, you can say set counter
Mhm.
is equal to when. And have you validated when you set the value as an offset? You're just going to data extension and validating whether it inserted or updated. Okay. Are
We don't
you
see whether the upside return is 0 or 1 or
are
to
you
figure out the,
basically validating the
yeah.
output that is getting captured, right? So then this process led me to the API thing.
Mm.
Okay, how this is happening? How this is happening? Then understood that okay, these are all wrappers. These are all wrappers,
Yeah,
right?
these are all
Now, who will
wrapper super
understand
functions. Yeah.
wrappers?
Mhm.
Who, if somebody is directly coming to marketing cloud, okay, will they understand what wrapper is? is I have to show them a chocolate
Valid
saying
point.
that see, this is a chocolate and the this is the wrapper.
See, I would say like the okay. I'll let's put this thought right. The dynamic content block you have is a wrapper for content block
Mm,
functions. It's nothing more than that. If you if you
mm,
if you use a dynamic content block and then select all your emails and data extension and variables and stuff, and then go under the hood, and if you see that, it would literally translate to an AMP script function that says if variable is equal to this value, then content block by
exactly.
key, and then you'd have this bunch of parameters passed to it, and then
Mm,
there's an else
mm.
condition, and then there's another else condition. Literally, that is the whole content block. So your if else statement along with content block by, I think it is content block by key, is
Key ID. Mm,
dynamic content block. Dynamic content block is basically these two AMP script functions. That's it. Like now, take the same
mm,
approach, and then think about a problem that you have, and then the way you can solve it, and then build a product to it. And that is exactly how we came up with this MGML content block. Because like
mm.
everyone were building MGML emails in VS Code. We would use the VS Code add-on. We would type our MGML code, and then it would show a preview of the email.
Mm.
Sorry, just one moment.
Uh, uh, Telecom.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So the way we came up with MGML is exactly like this. Everyone we typed MGML code in VS Code, and then took a preview, and then we have to save the MGML code in one of a local repository or in Bitbucket. Now, this is another story, right? Being an email developer, not all email developer are too happy to use a code repository tool like GitHub or Bitbucket, because the whole Salesforce is like point and click, and specifically Marketing Cloud is like, don't ask me to write anything,
Mm,
any code, and don't ask me to use GitHub or anything like that. So no, we were doing all these things. We had all our MGML files stored locally. I remember this was like an internal call that we had in CloudKettle, where we were bouncing off ideas and on what are the things that we can do. And then I said like, we are doing this MGML like this. Uh, why don't we build a component? I mean, this was like me and there was another lady in our team. Um, I'm trying to remember her name. I'm sorry. I should remember her name. Basically,
That's a,
I was new in the company, and then she worked for the next 1.5 2 months, and then she left for a different opportunity. So that was probably like we were on the same meeting for like 2 or 3 times, and one of those times we were discussing this, and then she said like, they basically, she's a, I think, Marketo developer, and they use MGML for Marketo, Power Data, and all those emails.
mm,
And then she was saying like, hey, this is becoming a problem. I said, okay, if that's a problem, I know how to solve that in Marketing Cloud, because like, I am a Marketing Cloud developer. I don't know how to solve that in Marketo, but then
mm,
let me solve this for Marketing Cloud. So took this as an exercise. Built a, I mean, the initial version, it was just a simple text box where you can put in your
mm,
MGML content, and then it would show a preview of your email. And I took it to Elliot Harper, and then he reviewed the code, and then he reviewed the design, basically said that,
mm,
okay, the design is good, but we don't want a text box. We want something different. So then we went through. He went through the out of the box components like an HTML editor. Now he said like, see, look at this HTML editor where you can type a code, and then it highlights the syntaxes. let's do that.
Ah,
So all I had to do was go through the
that's
HTML
the
code,
key.
and then from there I was able to figure out that it is a framework called Code Mirror. So the UI that you
Ah,
see in the HTML editor is a framework called Code Mirror. So
okay.
I went ahead and downloaded the Code Mirror JS, and then I started using it. And the initial version had MJML making API calls, and then I realized that.
Mm,
So I was talking to the MJML developer because the API was not compiling few of the components. So I asked him like,
mm,
"Hey, the API is not compiling these items." He said like, "That's because the API system is using a older version of MJML. Go and use this latest version." I said like, "Okay, then when are you updating your API?" He said, "No, no, I don't think we are going to be updating it. It's in a because they have released it a long time back. Nobody's touching the code." So like, then I said, then
mm,
he said like, "We're not going to update it." I said, "Okay, then I'll go ahead and use the JavaScript file." So I went ahead and used the JavaScript. No, the MJML editor that you have, it works completely offline in the client side. It doesn't
mm.
make any API calls, so you don't have to worry about losing your data and stuff like that. And am I canvassing about the MJML component? Maybe I'm just putting putting a word out. If anybody has any questions about MJML, please route them to me
Uh,
or to your CloudKettle. So this is kind
yeah,
of the process that we had to go through, right? So it is not the MJML app that you see today. It actually went through at least three different variations or versions
it
within
always happens.
CloudKettle.
Mm.
Yeah, within
It
CloudKettle,
always
and then
happens.
yeah, and then we came to this. I'll tell you one this new interesting item that we are working on. It is a Chrome add-on. It is going to
Mhm,
be solving a bit of a funny or an interesting problem statement. Like, see, in marketing cloud, if let's say you build an email, and while you're building it,
mm,
you make some changes in the email, and you accidentally delete it. You then what happens is it is not possible to get the HTML content back, because
mm,
marketing cloud does not maintain an audit of what are the previous changes that you did to your email.
mm.
Like today, you would
Oh,
have had marketing
mm.
cloud doesn't have that. You cannot revert back an email to a previous version the way you have in GitHub. In GitHub, you can go to previous versions of the
Version control. Mhm,
basic version control. Now we are trying to
mm,
do that with a Chrome add-on. So we have got an working version. We are kind of, I wouldn't say beta testing. We are kind of uh, you know testing this internally in CloudKettle. This particular add-on,
seriously,
probably yeah,
it's
probably early
interesting.
next year. Early next year, we might. I can show you how the add-on
Mhm,
looks. Let me launch up my marketing cloud instance.
mhm. Interesting. Yeah, a lot of people are
Okay, I'm
advocating
going to
for
go
this
to
version control currently, and currently they are trying to use GitHub as a version control.
yeah, but so this is an idea that came from Elliot Harper. He said like,
Mhm,
"Hey, this is a problem statement. Now let's solve this." And then he basically said like, "Okay, let's solve this using Chrome add-on." And he told me that there is a method that basically interprets the network requests that are being made.
mhm,
So I took those 2 points, went ahead and built this add-on, and of course, this add-on also, like, initially it was different, and then now the UI is completely different. Okay,
mhm,
let me share my screen. Right, so you're able to see my screen, right?
mhm. Till you present, let me just switch off this camera. I can
Mhm.
smoke till switching off of my
Okay.
camera. Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, so
this is
this one,
this is the marketing cloud
this is
instance.
the marketing
But if you
list.
note
Mhm,
here at the bottom, you have this small icon, right?
mhm,
I'll bring it here. See, look at this icon. What this literally
mhm,
has is this will have the previous versions of all this email. You open this email, it will basically say, "Oh, this is one of the previous version." Okay, I know this. I know this previous version, right? Let's say,
ah,
I go ahead and edit this email, and I accidentally, this is an HTML content, right? I accidentally delete
mm,
this top section and save
mm,
it. Now there is no way to get this back, right?
mm,
The top section is gone. It's gone for good.
mm, mm,
But what I can do is I can go to the add-on and see this is the latest saved one where I don't have anything on the top section. But I can go to one of this previous version, which was probably saved yesterday, and then I see that, oh, that is the
mm.
top version. Nice. Now I can click on restore. Uh, I'll
You
put a
you are caching this?
yeah, I'll come to that.
Mm.
So now the page will basically reload.
So the full set of HTML will revert back to the old version.
Yes, the full HTML, including your subject line and pre-header and whatever you had in your
Mm.
email, everything will be whatever this header part comes back, and you can basically look at any of the previous versions.
Oh my God.
And if you don't want, you can go ahead and delete one of those versions. So yeah, I mean, of course, there are a few improvements and changes which we want to do, and there are a few future states we have in mind. Things like I want to
So
extend this. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
my question is this, like how you are maintaining the previous version?
Okay, anytime a network request gets made for saving the email content,
Saving.
the add-on basically interprets that network request and saves it
Mm.
to local storage. So now you don't have to worry
Okay.
about, am I stealing this data?
Ah,
No,
ah,
the Chrome add-on does not steal data. Your data stays in your own instance,
local.
in your own local instance. Yes, couple of
Mm.
features that we want to add, that we have in mind, but again, this needs a lot of
But
effort to
if
develop.
you're going into your local storage, okay,
Mhm.
will not it violate the that security concerns that
No,
because
see,
you're working on the cloud and you are storing those version in the local storage.
no, you're storing data in your Chrome itself.
Mm.
See, all this data gets basically stored. Where is it? Ignore these items. All of these items are stored in Chrome storage.
Chrome storage.
Yes, it is.
Mm.
They are stored in Chrome's very own storage, so it doesn't violate any
Mm.
policy. Okay.
Mm.
And couple of future states that
Uh,
we want to do is we want to save Query Studio results. Like the
mm.
if you do some changes in Query Studio, we want to be able to
Mm.
store that as well. I'm kind of working on it, but let's see how that comes up. And second is, instead of storing it in local storage, we want to be able to store it in a central repository like GitHub or Bitbucket. Now, the advantage of
Mm.
that would be, if let's say there are two developers like you and I are working in a project, then I would
Mm.
be able to see what are the changes or what are the versions of an HTML that you have made on a particular
Mm.
email. So that's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
collaborative development would be possible if we can store these information in a GitHub or Bitbucket. But that's a thought. I
mm.
need probably tens and hundreds of development hours to design and get that working, which I'm not planning
Yeah,
to do this year. I need to get this particular version out, to general people, to general purpose usage for others to use. And of course,
mm.
in CloudKettle, we have this strict policy of going through design reviews and secure design security architectural
Security.
reviews.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I I
I mean,
I would love to see the framework. Yeah, because I'm very new to this framework. I
now
don't have any,
I mean
not even say 1% or say 0.5% of the knowledge about what you just showed. Okay, but for me, it's very interesting because
this
we are used to. Uh, if my like school of thoughts comes right, I can remember the different version control when we used in MVC, ASP.NET, and all this, right? Currently with the GitHub. So this one is very interesting to actually know more.
So, the whole idea is we want this to be, like user friendly. We don't want, because in things like in GitHub, if you want to see versions, you'd have to, go to your shell or terminal and then type saying that, git
No,
branch and
yeah,
then
you're
check out this.
cracking a lot of hits actually. Okay,
Right?
because on that button save,
Mm-hmm.
on that button save, what is going background
Mm-hmm.
inside what is happening in the background, you if people will see this, they will crack their head. So, uh,
No, no, no.
a
I
lot
mean,
of people doesn't even know the objects of marketing cloud. What are the
mm.
objects are being used? Hmm. So I
I mean,
can relate to
so
more things.
one of the things that I would tell any developer, uh, given that they are in this world of cloud systems and APIs, always look for what is happening in your network tab and in your console,
Mm,
in your Chrome console or in your Chrome network tab. I usually have my network tab open when I access Marketing Cloud, because that way I'll be able to see what are the things that are going out from Marketing Cloud and how is this response
exactly.
coming back, to Marketing Cloud. What are these internal APIs or hidden APIs that we have? How can I use it? So these are the things that I
Mm.
would always like. I would look for anything that I open. I would not just like Marketing Cloud, any other system.
Yeah,
I'll give you
obviously.
this example, right? We have an government institution here in
I don't
Canada.
know I
Uh,
don't know how many people will basically go and inspect. Okay, in that how many
that's
people
my
I don't know. Even
that's my advice to
even
any
forget about
developers.
marketing cloud. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
forget
my
about
advice to any
marketing
developers.
cloud.
Hmm.
Forget about marketing cloud. Even if I go back to .NET, okay,
Hmm.
I don't know like how many developers they basically go to the console and check it. And I can understand. I can a lot of things I can understand. Like if
No,
you
that
go to the console,
it's a must. It's a must. They have to do right. I'll tell you this example. We have this institution in Canada for road tests, and if you want to get a license, you need to book an appointment
mm, mm,
in this institute. Okay. Now they have a website where through which you can book an appointment. But the problem was when I was trying to book an appointment. Even now, if you want an appointment, you'll have to wait for at least 2 to 3 months. Okay.
mm,
Now when I was trying to book an appointment, the wait time was about 8 months to
mm.
get a license. Now what I did, I went under the hood. I looked at the API calls that it made, and then I wrote a simple Python script which basically mimics the same API call of, hey, I need an auth token for your website. Okay, I get it. And then, okay, I need to find out the list of available appointments for this particular location. It'll make an API call. It'll get the list, and then it'll pass through the JSON, and then it'll say, uh, uh, does this appointment date, is this appointment date within the next 2 weeks? If yes, it
Mm.
will basically uh, play a sound to me from my computer, so I can log in and then actually book the appointment. So I wrote the
Oh.
script that checks for appointment in like 20 different locations across British Columbia, and then I got an appointment in like 1 month. I whenever somebody cancels an appointment, if the script is running, it would basically let me know, and I would book the appointment. So
Mm.
any developers, if you're a developer, open your network tab. If you're a developer in cloud applications who uses any website, open network tab and see what is happening, what is being
What is
transported, how the
happening?
website gets built, how the data are being sent back and
I
forth.
can't see. I can't. Uh, if I've been uh, conducted 7 sessions for AmScript.
Mhm,
Okay, and if I have to explain about this network tab,
mhm.
hmm, I can't. I can't. Okay, I'll raise my hand and say no, because even if I explain about API, just simple API call, hmm, where I'll say REST API and SOAP API. You saw that in the WhatsApp. What happened?
Mhm.
Changing the folder. Okay, so
Yeah.
so So
Yeah, man.
nowadays, nowadays it's like explain to people or just only the out of the box, no customization and all these things. People is not going to buy. They call themselves self-proclaimed heroes. So forget about the net. Okay, let's come
Nobody.
back. Let's come back. Let's come back to this point of discussion because I know we have crossed more than 1 hour 15 minutes. Uh, so let's make it very simple. Okay, so for another 15 minutes probably, let's make this one very simple. Is if you want to suggest a new people who is coming to marketing cloud, okay,
Mhm.
forget about the background from where they come, but if they have to come, how should prepare to become a very good developer, or say a lot of people aspire to become an architect. Okay, how should they follow a path in marketing cloud where they will learn properly and develop proper use cases.
I mean, there are lots and lots of materials from where you can learn about marketing cloud. Starting from AMP script guide. Um, and there are posts published by Matthews, and then Gortonington has a very good blog. You have a lot of materials to learn marketing cloud. The thing is, get your basics right. And main key problem with marketing cloud is you don't have an environment to try out different things.
Mm,
So,
exactly.
my suggestion to anyone is like, do a certification. A certification like email specialist or an administrator doesn't necessarily need you to have hands-on. You can basically go through the trailhead. You can watch videos. You can see how people
Mm.
do things in marketing cloud, and that way you'll be able to understand how to do things in marketing cloud, and then you can pass your certification, because
Yeah,
like certification is going to check your knowledge of but things like consultant certification and then developer certification, that is where you absolutely need to have hands on
I don't buy.
emails.
I don't buy with this certification theory. Okay,
Mhm,
because I know the market. Okay, I know there are telegrams. Okay, I
mhm.
know there are WhatsApp. What's happening there? I know it. There, I was shocked looking. Oh, I somebody told me I joined. It was not. So I don't go with the theory of this certification. Okay, but trail it, right? I think people
Go
should
through trailer,
advocate
yeah.
trail it is the best place where you basically learn, where
Yeah,
you have a. I think there are a lot of mm, people have created their trail mix, and if they go by the trail mix, okay, you don't have to marketing out. There is no scoring
marketing
like
cloud is
people
not,
who go to
see,
ranger.
marketing cloud
I
is not
never
complex.
can become a ranger doing with
See,
marketing
this
cloud trail.
this is my
Okay.
suggestion to anyone who's coming to marketing. Now I'm mentoring someone, and this is what I have suggested to him as well. Get your email specialist certification done. So once you have this
Mm.
email specialist certification done, uh, next is trying to have access to this environment, because the immediate like right after you have the certification, you need to gain some experience so you can grow more, like probably write developer certification or consultant certification. Now for this you need to have access to marketing cloud environment, and you can't get access to environment unless you are a customer or a partner. Now
Huh?
you can
No.
join partner
So
companies. Mhm.
no. So that is a difficult proposition. Like joining
No,
a
no.
partner, not
See,
everybody
no, no, no.
will go into
You
that.
can join partners on what do you call that, on probation. You can be
Mhm.
3 to 6 months,
But that's a company
and then you
level,
can,
no?
yes, at a company level. There are so many companies, let's say take it in Vancouver or in Canada, who are ready to take up freshers, who are willing to work, right? None of the company would stop you for not knowing stuff. So what companies look for is how quickly can you learn something, how good can you solve a problem. It is not whether do you know what is written in this particular book or what is written in this blog. No, it is your
Yeah.
attitude, it is your thought process. That is what they look for. So if you have this right attitude, you can basically get into any technology that you look for.
Blog and other things come into your later part of your life, like you're troubled with some use case where you're not able to find a solution, right?
Mhm.
And then you start doing Google search and asking for friends, and then you certainly realize somebody has done this and have posted here, and then you can relate it. It comes in a later phase of life, but starting point, they don't know even know the use case. Okay, so for them, uh, Trailhead, I think Trailhead is one place, right?
Failure is
And then
primary, yes.
some, I think now people has to be aware of this Trailhead. Like you have this site and you can go and learn, starting learning. Yeah, obviously they
Mhm.
now once people start learning from Trailhead, hmm, they always look for the org, like going to the instance and trying something. And
Mhm.
I think many have this difficulty having this instance. Now they have this uh, program bootcamp, so
Yeah,
they can have this $75 boot camp, and they can now there they have started advocating uh, Trailhead, okay, Trailhead materials, and they have given us org instance, okay, where they can basically uh,
I heard
learn and try.
have hands on.
So
Yeah,
mm, so there is a good way of helping people, I feel.
yeah,
Mm, those who want to learn. So uh, coming back to, people come to me and say, Sasi, I understand what you're explaining. I
Mhm.
understand what you're explaining, but visualization, you have to show in an instance, like how what I'm saying is it has to be replicated in instance in a business unit where you're doing this and all, right? Now I am having a very difficulty, like I can't show my company's instance, okay, nor I can borrow somebody instance and say I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So maybe you know marketing cloud, like the people from Salesforce, this will basically give some instance to the trainers who wants to train people, okay, and this will basically, if that is done, at least when they're conducting a training or a session, this will have a hands-on is very important. Thanks to MC snippets, somebody
Mhm.
created in
That is
Heroku,
the RAM. Yeah,
and
yeah. Mhm.
AMP script they can do, but the only issue is they can't create the data extension like with lot of records. So although people are working hard, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that is a very big challenge for marketing cloud to groom people. Hmm.
See that. Okay.
Now,
If somebody is asking for uh, an instance or because like showing them how it looks in marketing cloud, it's very important. And I would say like, why don't you try talking to an account executive because they might be able to uh, help you with a marketing cloud instance because your intent is you're basically teaching or you're teaching the community on how to use marketing cloud. I'm sure
hmm,
you would be able to get a marketing cloud instance purely for the purpose of explaining or creating videos or learning materials. And I have had few experiences with Salesforce account executives, and all of them are positive experience. If you tell them your problem statement, they would absolutely be able to give you a solution, a workable solution. So I would honestly tell, like, you reach out to an account executive and tell them that, hey,
hmm,
this is what my intent is. Can I get a business unit? They might be able to hook you up with something.
yeah, that's a good. I think I haven't tried this. And okay, coming back, I we have almost now 7 minutes left. Okay, I will conclude this because I'll go for preparing my
Uh-huh.
dinner. Bachelor guy. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So now, my second question is: let's take this way. Okay,
Mhm.
uh, if you want to learn marketing cloud, okay,
Mhm.
and what mistakes you initially make?
Hmm. What mistakes do I initially make? So, what does it mean? Like, never make a
Like
mistake of sending email
yeah,
to millions of
mistake
customers.
for me
Don't
is
do
like
that.
a no mistake for me is like a learning experience. It's always a
Hmm.
learning experience. Like say one when I started marketing cloud, okay. we
Mhm.
had these data extensions segregated based on different regions, countries, and we had built a Arabic email, okay,
Mhm.
and all the text contexts are in Arabic, okay, and during the send, accidentally you might call it, okay.
Mhm.
What I did is I selected the target audience as the UK people, okay,
Okay.
and
Mhm.
it like I clicked on the send, boom, okay, and what happened was, you know, the UK people getting Arabic email, and
Yeah.
during that Obama, that
Yeah.
hanging
I
around
got it.
people,
Yeah.
you understand the consequence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a very good
See,
boss, and
specifically on marketing cloud, we always say this: if you see these options of send and delete, don't do that. Don't click on those buttons. If you're not 100% uh, sure about clicking those buttons, send and delete. Don't click on those two buttons. If you ever seen marketing cloud, unless you're sure about what you are doing, uh, that's one main thing. Other things, anywhere in marketing cloud, you see a section, you see an option, try to learn about what that section will do, what that option will do. Uh, Even when you create a data extension, you see an option of create from templates, and then don't just don't just say that, hey, we always see this create a template, but then I've never looked into what the templates are. Don't say that. If you see an option, then go through it, see what are the things it can do, read about it, learn about that option, because that is one way you can improve your knowledge. Because mostly marketing cloud developers have or follow a standard operating procedure. Any email that the way they work is they'll receive a request for sending an email, so they have a standard operating procedure that says, okay, go to email studio, build that, go to automation, do this, and then done. They never deviate to different areas. I would say, like, go to different sections and see what are the things it can do, and then you would learn a lot of things.
yeah, but actually, when you are in a small project, okay, when you are in small project, you are told not to touch anything else. You have to follow that standard protocol, what you said, standard procedure. Hmm. So they will never try out of it, because yeah, everybody are scared of if they do something and it goes wrong. Okay. Now, I had a very good person that even from the client who was he was excellent, like
Mhm.
he saved me, I'll say. Otherwise, it was like a terrorist email, somebody getting a terrorist email. So you can imagine. Uh,
Yeah.
so
So I mean,
coming from that thought of chain of thought was, mm, what I understood was okay, make mistakes, but not a big mistake. Always make a small mistake. Now in marketing cloud, we make lot of mistakes. Sending the wrong email, okay, sending to the wrong people, okay, and a lot of things we do, keep on doing. But if that is becomes big, it will have be bad consequence. But if you're doing small mistakes, it can be. I know a lot of projects who are basically doing wrong things, okay,
mhm,
basically doing wrong things, but they are hiding, okay. Just
mhm,
for example, if I tell you just a small example, you're building an email, okay, you're building an email,
mhm,
and you're not adding the open counter tracking
mhm,
tag that is given by the
mhm.
exact target from the very
Yeah.
initial days, okay. Now how many people realize that if I don't add that tag, what are the consequences, right? So how many people are there, like they add it to the same log,
Mhm.
and they say, yeah, this email is delivered, yes, this is delivered. No, Baba, there are
So
bounces
that,
that
that
happens.
email is sent, but it is not exactly delivered. There is a difference.
Yeah,
There's a minor
right. So
difference people don't understand.
somebody talking about how to calculate the open rate. Hmm.
Mhm.
So by definition, open rate is open divided by delivered, not sent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So how many things are there which are not being shown. So for me, it's like somebody learning is. make mistakes, keep
Yeah,
on creating, making mistakes, right? And always
right.
demand your project. Let's have a development instance.
Mhm.
And I don't want to develop in the production instance.
No, of course, make mistakes in dev instance, not the production ones.
Look, you can't make mistakes in production.
Right.
And say, I'm
Sure.
learning,
Yeah.
I'm going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
we already ended uh,
you
our
spoke about the
time.
MC snippets, right? You spoke about MC snippets.
Hmm.
Uh, I, I saw this long time back, but I wanted to kind of bring this up. The way MC snippet literally works is
Hmm.
this makes an API call to save, and the save endpoint basically has your code snippet that you have passed. And
Hmm.
then if you look at the response basically has an assert ID,
Hmm.
which literally means
Hmm.
this particular app is connected to a Salesforce instance or Marketing Cloud
Hmm.
instance, which creates
Hmm.
a code snippet content block,
Hmm.
runs it, renders it, and then returns the response as a email preview. Returns the response like it creates an asset and then renders it and then gets the response and then that gets displayed. So this
Hmm.
instance is internally connected to some sort of Marketing Cloud instance,
Hmm. Yeah. True.
and
Uh,
so this again.
maybe what you do, maybe if you can get some time, okay, with that MC snippet, you saw like there is a code snippet that is stored in the data in that some instance, and it is getting uh, they're doing the API. Okay, they have a JSON for the data extension.
Mhm.
Hmm. So we can only create one record in there in the data extension that they have given. Hmm. Uh,
Okay.
Now you have shown me something where now I'm going to, after maybe after my dinner, I'm going to go into that console. I never went to the console. I have lost
Oh.
this console thing very long back. So I'm going to see into
See,
it now
one of the
again.
thing that someone can do is they can take up this slash save endpoint and then perform a DDoS attack, because
Hmm.
in their whatever their Marketing Cloud instance that is connected to would typically have, let's say, 1 million or 10 million super messages. Okay,
Hmm.
if you make 10 million API calls to that endpoint, it means that it would consume that number of super messages. So
Hmm.
I am sure
You're
the
showing their vulnerability.
maybe, but I'm sure, like, see, there are two things, right? One is it is hosted in Heroku, so Heroku basically handles DDoS
Hmm.
attacks, so you would not be able to make 1 million requests from the same IP to Heroku, because Heroku will stop it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's one. And second is, I'm sure they would have written some sort of logic that says if the total number of requests has crossed, 1 million or something like that,
Hmm.
then probably don't accept any more requests. There must be some
But
sort of
anyway,
logic.
you don't have to make it million also. Maybe you can try with 100 and maybe try 100, create 100 super messages for them.
Let's see. Yes.
Maybe, yeah. So if
Also,
somebody
also,
sees this
while
video,
while while you are at it, I would basically say, like, if you go to any site, right, there will be these JavaScript files where
hmm,
most of
hmm,
the code will be obfuscated.
hmm,
I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. And you can find de-obfuscators basically
hmm, hmm,
to decode uh, the JavaScript to a little bit. So there's like decrypt
hmm,
symmetric function that is being used and some sort of algorithm password and key that is used. And
hmm.
you don't know what are the things that you might find if you go through this. So try this also, de-obfuscation. It's like kind of an good tool. Sometimes you would end
You're
up
trying to
finding,
expose a lot of things. Hmm.
no, sometimes you would find some really good and interesting functions. See, one of the things that I found,
Correct.
okay, I'll tell you one interesting item that I found in our journey builder. Have you
Hmm.
built journey builder custom activities?
Not exactly, but I know the knowledge, but uh, not exactly like I have any use case to build a custom activity.
Okay, so in case of custom activities, you have few postmonger references. So
Post. Mhm.
there are these few events, right? Sorry.
Mhm.
So connection dot trigger, and then you have ready request token request endpoint. There are like what
Mhm.
5 or 10 methods that they have given. But if you want to see few more
Mhm.
methods, all you have to do is
Mhm.
this is like I was building an app for something, and then I kind of
I remember your questions. Still remember what you asking.
oh yeah, okay. So
I still remember.
what you
Uh, how should I? Where is this and where is this? I understand.
yeah, so what I did was let's say
Mm,
uh, let's take path optimizer. After I take
mm,
path optimizer, you go to the sources and do a
mm,
search in all files, and then search for connection dot trigger, and then it will basically say what are the different connection dot triggers. See, look at this one interesting one, populate fields. You don't have populate fields as a method listed in documentation, but then we have just stumbled upon a
Documentation.
new, sorry.
Documentation. I don't go with documentation. They have,
See,
you
this is
know,
new, right?
ऊपर देख
Populate
के
field is
छोड़
new.
दिया है.
uh, Request payload, you don't have this request payload, this is new. Request culture, we have
हाँ.
request culture. Register allowed domain is a new one. Request inspector close, it's new. We have this one. Inspector resize is a new one. On inspector closing, update button, update activity, maybe these are like available, I don't know. So
Oh, oh, activity. Hmm.
these are like, see,
हाँ.
set activity dirty state, these are something completely new, right? You can drag and drop other elements, and then you can do the same exercise of, hey, I want to search for connection dot trigger, and sorry, connection dot trigger, and then it will give you a bunch more of this one, process batches in next method. I mean, these are not documented,
You,
but these are still valid methods.
you
You can
know,
try using it. Yeah.
you know, you, when you're sharing this, okay, you are basically opening a very big floodgate for me. Hmm. My mind
What?
actually, my mind is sometimes goes crazy.
Mhm.
Okay. Now you have showed me something. Uh,
Go ahead and try it out. It's an interesting area.
I'm definitely going to debug this. See, I'll come back to you with lot of questions.
Absolutely, man.
Don't get
Absolutely.
scared
And
away with my questions
no,
now.
no, no. So most of the JavaScript files that they have, right? Uh, Most of them are not uh, obfuscated. They are not like made to look weird or anything. You have the straightaway
Hmm,
JavaScript, and
hmm,
for a different problem, we were looking at this yesterday. So if you
hmm,
go to uh, there is this function called window.mc, sorry,
hmm.
window.mc, and yeah, oh sorry, that actually comes in content block. Okay, sorry, one moment. So if you want to get the access token,
Hmm.
then you can basically do something like this.
You are fetching
Window.mc.
access token from here. Okay.
So from no, no, like if you're using a Chrome extension, the Chrome extension can
Hmm,
basically do it. You can go to window MC, then auth token,
hmm.
token manager, tokens, and see, I have an access token and legacy token, and the expiration time.
Oh.
And also, this uses a framework called Backbone and Marionette JS. This basically gives a lot more information about where you are, what are the contents of this page, and all those things. So try exploring this. Basically, I was trying to look at data layer. There is no data layer
हाँ, obviously
in
लेयर
this
होता
page.
तो अभी तक इतना कुछ कैसे दिख जाता एक ही बार में तो.
I mean, it is good to have data layer, right? Uh,
हाँ,
See,
obviously
yeah.
नहीं है
See,
इसलिए तो getting exposed.
look at the MC snippets. MC snippets has data layer because they are using GTM.
Hmm.
History change, load, all these things. Uh, but anyways, man. So these are like try out. These are the things that we play with.
seriously, I never, you know, now I feel like, yeah, I used to say I'm a very good ASP, ASP.NET developer. I had for 7, 8 certifications there as well. Now looking at this, I feel like no, no, I was never a .NET developer,
No.
never.
See, my
my,
my
my,
suggestion my suggestion is always like, more than the company, more than the salary, find the right person to work with. This is exactly what
uh,
Greg Poirier's motto is also like. Our CEO, he's actually a pretty friendly guy, uh, and his
mm,
only aim is he wants the right set of people to work together. That's it. He doesn't mind where they are from, what kind of money they are asking, or what is their background.
mm,
He probably doesn't care much about those things. For him, it is like, can Matesh work well with the team? How good of a person he is, and then what are the things that he can contribute, and what are the things he can learn from other people. Like, take CloudKettle, right? We have
mm,
best of the folks, Elliot Harper, and then you may not have heard these names. Like, Sam is a pretty good overall marketing guy. He knows everything about Marketing Cloud, Pardot, Marketo, and Adobe, and then he knows a lot about Google Analytics. This guy is one guy who knows about all the marketing tools that you have.
mm.
And
You're making
when I
me
say
jealous, nothing else.
so, he knows. When I say he knows about the marketing tools, he knows in depth. If you take a complex problem in Pardot, he'll be able to solve it. Complex problem in Marketing Cloud, he'll be able to solve it. And then I have this another person like Greg Bates. He's he's too technical. He's way too technical to explain. Uh, he doesn't just talk about Marketing Cloud or Salesforce. He talks about anything technical. Raspberry Pi, or building a robot. He knows stuff. And then there is another pretty good JavaScript developer. Uh, he knows in and outs of JavaScript. Anytime I have a problem with JavaScript, I would reach out to him, and he'll be like, yeah, let's solve this. And there's another guy who recently joined us, Vignesh from Chennai, and this
Mhm.
guy is an absolutely fantastic architect, Salesforce architect. I think, like, whenever I tell him a problem statement, I'll get a response in 5 minutes, and that response would be the most appropriate or the optimal solution for that particular problem statement I would have faced. I love working with him. Like, find the right set of people to work with, bus. That's the only thing.
You're making me so jealous. Okay. Because uh, in marketing talk, to be honest, hmm, I never found anyone. Hmm, uh, whatever I have learned till today, that is on my own. When you're saying this, I'll say like, man, inside me is like, what the heck, you know? Yeah, because I whatever I learned was from those Salesforce architects in the
Mhm,
project they used to have, and my learning process is like ask questions,
mhm,
ask any silly questions. If if you're not if you're not giving an answer, okay, hmm,
mhm,
but my mouth is not going to be shut. Anyway, anytime I'm going to ask more, and like people will be like, Sasi, why are you asking silly questions? Okay. And
mhm,
there are people like saying that, Sasi, why you need 360 view? I have walked with all this set of people.
mhm.
So I'm very jealous of you,
No, thanks
to
for
be
that, man.
honest.
I take
And
that as a compliment. Thanks for that.
mm, yeah, so it was a very good session. I'll
Yeah, man.
end
We
this
we
session.
planned for 1 hour,
And
and it is like 1.5 hours, 1 hour 45 minutes now.
oh, two
So we'll do
technical
the next
guys.
30.
No, this actually happens when two technical guys are discussing. Okay, it's not only about simple saying, presentation, or do something with a PPT. Is normal two
It's a
Indian
random
guys,
conversation.
and
Something.
on top of it is two Indian guys, right? Maybe you are from extreme left, I am from extreme right. So the debate will keep on
I know what you
continuing.
mean by left. I'm neither left nor right. I would want to be like, I would want to just live. I would want to just exist. That's it.
Okay, I'll
Anyway,
first stop and I'll tell.